Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Real Estate Council of Alberta, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for our information session about getting licensed. As you can see from the agenda, we'll be covering a lot of information today. Due to the large number of attendees, the chat feature is disabled and all participant microphones will remain muted for the duration. When we have concluded our presentation, feel free to ask us any general questions by inputting them into the Q&A dialog box. We'll respond to as many questions as we can before wrapping up in about an hour. Today's presentation provides general information about eligibility, education, and licensing requirements and processes. If you have questions about your specific circumstances, we ask that you contact the Registration Services team by phone or email during regular business hours to discuss them. Our contact information will be provided at the end of the presentation. We'll be emailing a copy of this presentation and a recording of the information session to all participants. With that, let's get started. All members of the Registration Services team are RECA brand ambassadors, and we strive to embody RECA's values. We aim to protect, inform, and elevate through all of our day-to-day interactions with applicants and licensees. Our goal is to surpass RECA's service excellence principles as we carry out our important function of vetting applicants and their credentials. RECA licenses and regulates three distinct but related industries within Alberta: real estate, mortgage brokerage, and condominium management. Anyone who provides these services to consumers in Alberta must be licensed through RECA. An often overlooked but important distinction to make is that property management and condominium management are different areas of practice. In fact, property management is a sector within the real estate industry. Condominium management is a separate industry altogether. If you want to be licensed in one of these industries, you've come to the right place. There are three primary phases in the path to getting licensed: the eligibility phase, the education phase, and the licensing phase. Depending on your circumstances, you may have to complete all the steps in the education phase, some of these steps, or none of them. We'll cover all the information you need to know about the three phases as we get further into the presentation. Before you get started in the first phase, eligibility, we recommend that you carefully review the eligibility requirements that are applicable to your circumstances and ensure you can meet them, as your application fee is non-refundable. If you have determined that you meet the eligibility requirements for your particular circumstances, you can get started by creating a MyRECA account and completing the first-time login process. The answers you provide in the first-time login process will guide you to the correct eligibility or labor mobility application. Complete the relevant application and pay the application fee. Once you have completed payment, you can begin uploading your identification documents. Contact any third parties that will need to send documents to us on your behalf. The first phase you must complete in your path to getting licensed is the eligibility phase. You must meet certain eligibility requirements before you can enroll in and complete pre-licensing education or have your non-Alberta license recognized through labor mobility. We'll cover these requirements in depth over the next several slides. It's important to note that there are different requirements depending on your path. Let's dig in. All applicants must meet the first eligibility requirement, which is to provide proof of their identity and ability to work in Canada. RECA is mandated to protect consumers and the integrity of the industries we regulate. Registration specialists employ rigorous identification measures to ensure RECA achieves its mandate. The first identification document that all applicants must provide is a profile photo. Your profile photo should be clear, face-centered, and should not obscure your identity. Keep in mind your profile photo will be visible to RECA staff and your future broker. The second identification document that all applicants must provide is a source identification document, such as a birth certificate, PR card, or proof of Canadian citizenship. This document contains your full legal name and is the name that will appear in your MyRECA account and on your future license. If your source identification document does not contain a first name, your MyRECA account and future license will not include a first name either. If you are a work permit holder, you may be eligible to study. However, you will not be able to get your license until you have obtained permanent residency or citizenship in Canada. The third identification document that all applicants must provide is a copy of one piece of government-issued photo identification. There are several examples of this type of identification that you can provide. Make sure this identification document has been issued within the last 5 years and hasn't expired. You cannot substitute a passport for the source identification document because passports do not always contain a person's full legal name. The second eligibility requirement that all applicants must meet is proof of English proficiency. Licensees must be able to practice proficiently in Alberta's official language. RECA's minimum English proficiency standard is successful completion of English 30 in high school or equivalent. If you completed your education in Canada, you can request your high school, college, or university to send your transcript directly to RECA. If you didn't graduate high school but received your GED, you can request Alberta Education to send it to us. If you completed your education outside of Canada, you can have your international high school, college, or university transcript assessed by a member of the Alliance of Credential Evaluation Services of Canada and sent directly to RECA. Not all members of ACESC include the language of instruction in their assessments. Your assessment must state that the language of instruction for your course or diploma or degree program was English. If you're unable to provide a Canadian education transcript or an assessment of your international education, you can have your English assessed by one of the institutions listed. There are minimum scores that you must meet for each of these tests, and your test must have been completed within the past 3 years. The third eligibility requirement, proof of completion of a minimum of high school or equivalent, applies to new licensees only. If you hold a license in another Canadian province or an international jurisdiction outside of Canada, this requirement does not apply to you. If you are a new licensee applicant, not a labor mobility applicant, and you completed your education in Canada, you can request your high school, college, or university to send your transcript directly to RECA. If you didn't graduate high school but received your GED, you can request Alberta Education to send it to us. If you completed your education outside of Canada, you can have your international high school, college, or university transcript assessed by a member of the Alliance of Credential Evaluation Services of Canada and sent directly to RECA. The fourth and final eligibility requirement applies to labor mobility applicants only. If you're licensed in another jurisdiction within Canada or hold a license abroad, you must provide proof of licensure in good standing. Your licensing history must be sent by the regulatory body in your originating jurisdiction directly to RECA, and it must include your disciplinary history. Once all required supporting documents have been received for your eligibility or labor mobility application, your application is complete and will be automatically submitted to our processing queue. The registration services team processes applications in the order they are received. We receive between 150 and 200 completed eligibility and labor mobility applications every week. This is in addition to the dozens of other applications we receive, along with managing consistently high call and email volumes daily. You can help the Registration Services team review and process incoming applications and respond to calls and emails in a timely manner by viewing the status of your application and required supporting documents in your RECA account instead of contacting us for updates. Once your application is complete and has been submitted to our processing queue, you can expect an email with the outcome of our review within the next several business days. You can view our current processing times on the RECA login screen or on the My Applications page of your RECA account. Much like the eligibility requirements, the education phase differs depending on your circumstances. New licensees that are not licensed in another jurisdiction must complete pre-licensing education and exams before they can apply for their license. Canadian labor mobility applicants are exempt from pre-licensing education and exam requirements. International labor mobility applicants are exempt from pre-licensing education but must successfully complete the related exams. All pre-licensing education courses must be completed through a recognized course provider. Pre-licensing exams are developed by RECA and administered by our partner, Measure Learning. Once you have completed the first two phases, the eligibility phase and the education phase, you're ready to move on to phase 3, licensing. If you haven't already, you'll want to meet with a few brokers to find a brokerage that is a fit for you and get your criminal record check, or CRC, underway. When you have found a brokerage and we have received and processed your CRC, your broker will initiate your licensing application for you through RECA. The entire licensing process is completed online, and provided there are no suitability matters that the registrar needs to review, your license will be issued automatically in a few simple steps. As a first-time licensee in Alberta, you must provide a current criminal record check, or CRC, to be eligible for licensing. Your CRC must be less than 6 months old at the time you apply for your license. When you're ready to apply for your license, complete the digital CRC application through your RECA account. We'll get the results in a couple of days from our partner, Mintz Global Screening, and we'll email you when we've received and processed it. All first-time licensees must demonstrate that they are of good character and are suitable for licensing. Certain events that have taken place in the past may bring your character into question. Events such as bankruptcies, discipline, criminal charges and convictions, and certain civil judgments must be disclosed at the time of licensing and could impact your ability to get a license. If you're concerned about something in your past that may impact your suitability for licensing, you may request an opinion from the registrar as to your suitability. This is called a suitability review. If you choose to undertake a suitability review, your eligibility application fee includes this. We do not recommend that labor mobility applicants request a suitability review. The intention of a suitability review is to avoid the significant financial and time investment in completing pre-licensing education and exams prior to applying for and being refused a license due to suitability concerns. We've included a comprehensive list of resources to assist you along your journey to getting licensed. We've also included our contact information should you need help along the way. As mentioned, we'll email this presentation to you when we've concluded our Q&A session so that you can refer back to this page or any page in the presentation at any time. That concludes our presentation on getting licensed. Thanks for sticking with us. We'd like to take a moment to find out what kind of applicant you are. Please respond to the poll we've initiated and then post any questions you have in the Q&A dialog box. We'll give you a few minutes to respond to the poll and enter your questions before we begin responding.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for sitting through the webinar. We're looking forward to answering your questions live. I have Simran, who's answering questions in the chat for you, and Christina, who's going to be joining me on camera in a minute here. We're all from the registration services team, so if you call or email, we're the ones that answer those inquiries and process your applications as well. Christina, are you with me?
I am. My video is not.
A likely story.
I think you have to allow me to start my video.
Okay, I'll take the first question then. We'll see if you can get yourself sorted out. First question is, I have my bachelor's degree in Australia. What's the process of getting it assessed? So you'd have to contact one of the agencies directly. So when you pay your eligibility application fee, we send you an email and there's a link to the guide to completing your eligibility application in that email. If you go to the proof of education section, you'll find a link to that ACESC website. So you'd have to contact whatever agency you decide to use to assess your credentials directly and find out what the steps are to get your degree or diploma assessed. Once you have the assessment report, you need to get a copy of that report sent directly to RECA, and the contact information for emailing or mailing that report is also in the guide.
Okay. I think you have to start my video for me, Nancy.
Oh, how did I do that?
While you figure that out, I'll answer the next question. Can I direct write the exam without any course provider? Not usually. You need to go through a course provider, and they will, once you complete the course, then you would be able to let them know that you're ready to write the exam, and then you can write your exam after that you've completed the course with the course provider.
I don't see anything to change your video setting, girl, so I don't know. We're going to have to just wing it. Can you go into more detail about the education and courses? So RECA actually doesn't offer the education ourselves. We approve your eligibility, and then you're going to enroll in the courses through a third-party course provider. So I'm just going to share my screen here for a second. Give me a minute. Okay, so if you go to our website and hover on licensees and learners, you'll see a section called pre-licensing education. When you click there, there's a section for each of the three industries we regulate: real estate, mortgage, and condominium management. When you expand it, it gives you an overview of the courses required. In the case of real estate, you have to complete fundamentals of real estate plus one area of practice course in one of these areas. And then below, you'll see each course listed with all of the course providers. So to find information about the course, you're going to have to click over to whatever course provider you choose to their website, and you'll find information about the cost, how they deliver the course, how to enroll, the fees, all of that kind of information. Each course provider sets their own requirements for course completion times, methods of delivery, all of that kind of stuff.
Do you want to share your screen, Nancy? They didn't.
Oh, I thought I was sharing my screen. Let's do that again then. Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
So we're going to hover on licensees. Why are you vexing me, Christina? We're going to hover on licensees and learners, go down here to pre-licensing education. And then here's the industries where you can just expand the section for whatever industry you want to get licensed, and you'll see the list of courses and the course provider for each course.
Do all of these steps apply to property management licenses as well? So property management is a sector under real estate. So yes, all of the steps apply to property management as well.
What if I want to write my exam without any institute? You can't. We do not permit people to challenge the exams. You have to take the course before you're eligible to write the exam.
Okay. And what does statement mean in the following paragraph? Permanent resident card, if it has expired, you must supply a statement indicating that you have not lost your PR status. So anyone that is that has a expired permanent resident card would just write a statement saying why your permanent resident card has expired, and then you would upload that to your application along with your permanent resident card.
Next question, can you get licensed in more than one area? Yes, in all cases. You could be licensed in more than one industry. So you could have a license for condominium management, mortgage brokerage, and real estate. That's fine. And you also can hold a licensing, like a real estate license, in one or up to all 4 sectors.
I'm currently working as an insurance advisor with a provincial license in NT and hold the CAIB designation in Alberta. If I transition into a realtor role, can I keep my insurance advisor license active and continue practicing it while working? Is it possible to practice real estate on a part-time basis? Information services would be the best ones to contact about any conflicts of interest. And their information can be found on our website as well. The email address is info@reca.ca, or else you can contact them directly. I think extension 2, but correct me if I'm wrong, Nancy.
Yeah, I think that's right. Can I start my career only in residential real estate? Yes, absolutely. So it's a minimum of 2 courses to get a real estate license. So you take fundamentals of real estate and the practice of residential real estate, and then you'd have a year to use that education to get a license. At any time during that 1-year period or after, you can add additional licensing to your real estate license, for example, commercial, rural, or property management, just by taking the related practice course, and it would automatically add authorization to practice in that sector to your license.
When you do your eligibility registration and pay, how long do you have to complete your documentation before your registration fee expires? So we've now stopped expiring or eligibility applications. So as long as you're not taking 5-10 years, we remove that expiration date from your application once we process it, or once we start processing it, so it doesn't expire anymore.
After I clear the exam, do I have to get hired first to get a license? Yes, you do. So you can complete the process by yourself up to the point of being eligible for licensing. And you'll get an email from us when you're eligible for licensing. That means you've gone through the eligibility process, you've completed the 2 courses required, passed both exams, and provided your criminal record check. That would be when you're eligible for licensing. At that point, you have to get hired by a brokerage in order to get a license. And the broker of whatever brokerage hires you will start a new license application for you, which you're going to complete between you and the broker through your RECA accounts.
Is the training offered in Bow Valley College accepted by RECA? After acquiring the license, can one start practicing immediately? So the second part of the question, Nancy just answered. And is the training offered in Bow Valley College accepted by RECA? Nancy did point out the course providers, and Bow Valley is one of the course providers. Yeah, just in pre-licensing education under real estate, and then it is one of our accepted course providers.
Yeah, so as long as you come to the course you're taking and Bow Valley College is listed as it is for fundamentals of real estate, then that would be a course that you're permitted to take for licensing purposes. If, for example, you came down, say here, to the practice of residential real estate, Bow Valley College is not listed here. So if they offered some kind of practice of residential real estate course, it's not authorized by RECA, so you would not be able to take that course. But to our knowledge, anybody offering courses has properly registered with us. So I would say if you run into something like that, maybe let us know. For the labor mobility section, do I must move to Alberta from my current BC address? No, you do not have to be resident in Alberta to have a license in Alberta. You would have to follow all of the requirements, and but you could have a license in both jurisdictions, and you don't have to live here to be licensed in Alberta.
Is it possible to practice real estate on a part-time basis? That's definitely up to your broker once you are licensed, and you would want to talk to them about that.
I wasn't here at the start of the seminar. Can you go over the details of how to start the eligibility phase? I would suggest maybe send us an email to registration@reca.ca, and we will send you an email with detailed instructions about how to start that process.
After getting licensed, how long will it take on average to be accepted into a brokerage? That's really up to the brokerage. We do have a list on our website, Nancy, if you want to show them where to find the licensee and the brokerages that they can contact.
I sure can, yeah. So at the top of the page here, you'll see a tab that says Find a Licensee. If you click that and scroll to the bottom, you can search by brokerage, and then you can put in a city name. I'll just put Calgary. Oh, I should give an industry. Sorry, my cursor's jumping all over the place here.
Takes a while because there's lots. Yeah, once this page loads, you would just be able to contact the brokerage directly, and they would be able to give you a little bit more information on how long it takes them to onboard new licensees, and they can give you a little bit more information.
Theoretically, it comes up as a list. I think it might be broken, Christina. We'll let our IT people know about that. Next question is, I am moving to Alberta in the next few months. Should I wait to move there to do the CRC, or can I do this from Ontario? So you can do it from anywhere. Our preference is that you do it through your MyRECA account after you've completed your education, in which case it's an online process, so it wouldn't matter where you are. If you're going to do it through a local police detachment, maybe get in touch with us to registration@reca.ca, and we'll email you the requirements. There are some criminal record checks we'll accept and some we won't. Or you can always do a fingerprint-based certified criminal record check, and we need the original paper document sent to us in that case. So again, you could do that from anywhere.
Do I have to get my real estate license along with my property management license, or can I get property management license separately? So property management is a sector under real estate. So you would be getting your real estate license, and you would have the property management sector under that real estate license. So property management license is not separate from real estate license.
What if I want to change brokerages? Do I have to apply for a license again, or will it be transferable? Yeah, you could transfer your license. So if you get licensed with one brokerage and you're there for a while and you want to switch brokerages, you can either cancel your license with your current brokerage and then get your new broker to add you to that brokerage, or the new broker can transfer you to their brokerage. Either way, you'd pay a $100 fee to transfer your license, as long as it doesn't go past the end of our licensing year, which is September 30th.
Are exemptions granted when attempting to get licensed in more than one field? Not normally. I guess it depends on what you're considering field, whether you're thinking sector to sector or industry. But no, if you are wanting to get licensed in another sector within real estate, you would have to take that practice course that relates to the sector that you're wanting to be licensed in. Usually no exemptions are granted for that.
Is the exam taken in person, or is it possible to challenge it online as well? No, we do not have online exams. You have to appear in person. We use Measure Learning to facilitate our exam bookings, and they do have exam centers all across the country, so you don't have to be in Alberta, but it is an in-person exam.
If I get my license in Alberta, can I use that license for practicing in any other provinces? So yeah, we do have reciprocity with the other provinces. You would go through, once you get your license, you can apply for an occupational certificate request through your RECA account. And then we would be able to send that off to the regulatory body in the other province that you're wanting to get licensed in.
I have a criminal record and judicial matters check that is less than 6 months old. Do I need to obtain another CRC? That depends. If it meets our requirements, we will accept it. You don't, like I said, there are other options other than doing it through RECA. You're welcome to send us a copy of it. We'll take a look at it. If you got an original document from the police, you would have to provide us with the original. We don't take scanned copies. If it's a third-party criminal record check done through like Triton or something like that, we do not accept those. The only third-party criminal record checks we take are the ones done through RECA.
Do you have an exam taker in Northwest Territories? I believe so. They are around all across Canada, so I would be quite surprised if we didn't have one there.
Just waiting to see if a couple more questions come in. Right now, we don't have any.
Do you want to show them where to find the guide on our website?
Yeah, good idea. So this is the homepage of our website. To find the guide, you're going to click on this tab, Become a Licensee. And when you scroll down, that's a recording of our last webinar. And right under there, you'll see two different options. One is for new licensees. So that's people who don't have a license and need to take the courses. And one for labor mobility, which is for people licensed in another jurisdiction who want to also get licensed in Alberta. So you're just going to click on the appropriate button and scroll down, and you'll see here's the link to the guide to applying for eligibility for first-time licensees. When you click it, it opens a PDF and it goes through all of the different eligibility requirements, and it explains exactly what documents you need to submit. It's got some qualifying information that sort of explains if it's expired, what do I do, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's super detailed. I would suggest as a first step, just reading through the whole guide and making sure that you can meet the eligibility requirements before you proceed. And so you know exactly what you have to order and how to send it in and whatnot.
Okay, so a few other questions have come through. How can I open my own brokerage? So to be broker eligible, you do have to have 2 years of licensed experience in the industry that you're wanting to open a brokerage in. If it's real estate, you have to have all 4 sectors of real estate, plus that 2 years of experience, and you have to have the brokers program course completed. Nancy, do you want to show where that is on the website?
Sorry, I was reading. I wasn't listening. What am I showing?
The broker eligibility.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to go to licensees and learners, brokerage licensing. opening a brokerage, and right here is broker eligibility.
Yeah, so you can't start off as a new licensee hoping to open your own brokerage. Like I said, you do have to have that 2 years of licensed experience, plus all the other requirements.
Yeah, so there's some detailed information that basically says what Christina just said.
Mm-hmm.
I had my degree assessed by IQOS, and I did request a copy. I think we're going to let Simran answer that one because we're going to not address people's individual situations. It needs to be more generic for everybody. Will this recording be accessible? Yes. So our previous recording is right here on this Become a Licensee tab right here. And then this webinar itself will actually be, it'll replace the one that's already on there today within a few days. We also email out a link to it to everybody who attended the webinar. So you'll have access to that in due course.
Mm-hmm. Where can I find the exam taker information on the website? So we've gone through this before. You go to our licensees and learners, pre-licensing education, and then all of the course providers are within, you just have to click on the desired industry, and then you'll find all the course providers there. And you contact them directly to enroll.
Does any online course taken in real estate can be accepted and we can challenge the exam? Like I said previously, we do not permit people to challenge the exam. The only authorized course providers are the ones listed on our website, this page that we just showed you. You have to take the course through one of those course providers. When you finish the course, then you'll have access to register to write the pre-licensing exam.
If I'm just doing property management, do I have to find a company that offers property management, or can I have my own business? So if you're not broker eligible, you do have to join a brokerage that is licensed in property management, which they would be, that offers the property management services. You can't just become off the bat a broker of property management. So.
Are people eligible to practice as a real estate agent and a mortgage broker at the same time? Yeah, we had answered that previously. You can hold licenses in all industries if that's what you want to do. There are some restrictions around conflict of interest and that type of thing that we're not going to get into on that webinar. It's kind of out of scope for today, but if you wanted clarification about that, you could contact Information Services. That'd be info@reca.ca. Just waiting to see if any more questions come in. Christine, is there anything else we get lots of calls about that you think I should pull up here?
Do you want to show where the fee schedule is maybe? That's usually...
Yep, that's a good idea. So you're going to find everything. If you hover on this licensees and learners link, you don't want to click, just hover. It opens this big blue menu, and that's where you're going to find most of the information. So down the center is everything about licensing, and here's your fee schedules right here. So we have a summary for each industry listed. You just have to expand it, and then you can get the full fee schedule by just clicking this link, and then you'll see all of the fees, and that's updated usually annually. Do you want me to take that one? I will. Where can I find information about the Exam Taker Institute for the fundamentals and real estate exams, not the course providers? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're asking about. So you complete the course through a course provider. Once the course provider updates your MyRECA account to show you're ready to write the exam, you're going to get an email, and you're going to contact our exam facilitation company, which is Measure Learning, and you're going to register for your exam through Measure Learning at an exam center somewhere across Canada. Hopefully that answers your questions. I'm not really sure what you mean by the Exam Taker Institute.
And they can, if they have any questions about those exam measure learning, they would be contacting credentialing, not registration services. How long does it usually take for a person to become licensed realtor? It's really up to the person, how quickly they can go through the eligibility application. And then to complete those courses, the course provider will give them a expiration date on the exam. And then once they complete the fundamentals and the practice, they have 1 year from the date that they complete the practice of whichever industry sector course and exam to be licensed. Otherwise, the fundamentals and practice course will become expired, and they will have to do those courses again if they're not licensed within that year. So depends.
I'm just going through some of the questions that Simran answered in the chat. Somebody asked us to list the preferred pre-education schools. So we would not prefer one course provider over another. Any of the course providers listed on our website have met the requirements in terms of covering the material required. And so they would all be equal in our eyes.
Mhm.
I will tell you though, here, I'm going to actually go over this. When you go to this pre-licensing education section, there's a link in this last section called how to choose a course provider. And I would suggest probably before you go and enroll with anybody to take a read through that. It just gives you some things to consider other than price when you're considering what course provider to choose. You also have this table available to you under each course. So it lists the course providers. It shows you how many people have attempted the exam after taking that course and what their success rate has been. So what proportion of the people who took it passed the exam and what was their average score on the exam. So you can consider that information when you're choosing a course provider too.
Mm-hmm. There is a question about someone from, I'm not sure if we answered this one, someone from BC that took the exams in BC, but they were never licensed in BC and they want to transfer that education from BC to Alberta. So anyone in labor mobility, if you've completed the courses in another province, you would have to be eligible for licensing, eligible for relicensing or licensed currently in that province. We wouldn't be able to just transfer the education over as if you were an eligibility applicant. You would have to be licensed first in BC to transfer your license over, or in any other province, not even just BC.
New question, do I need to be registered with RECA to complete this review? Yes, so if you go to become a licensee, go to new licensees. At the bottom under licensing process, you'll see this step-by-step guide. We touched on this in the webinar as well. So step one is to create a MyRECA account. And these orange boxes are links they're live links that are some additional tools to help you. But step one is to create your account, complete the first time login process. And you're going to answer some questions about if you're creating an account to become a licensee or if you're already licensed somewhere else. And that's the thing that's going to create the appropriate application for you. Then you're going to be prompted to pay the application fee. Eligibility and labor mobility are both a $350 application fee. Then you're going to upload your profile photo and ID. And then both applications have documents you have to provide in support of the application that come from third parties. For example, for a school or an education assessment or a licensing history for somebody who's a labor mobility applicant. Once your application is approved, then you can go and enroll in the pre-licensing education. If you have to take courses after you've completed the education, then you go through the steps for licensing. So that chart is available for anybody who wants to kind of get an overview of the process.
So if I understand right, the course provider is like cram school, not sure what that is, or they are also where I learn and get tested. So you're only receiving the course material from the course provider, RECA is the exam tester, I guess you could call it. I'm not sure what a cram school is, but they're not both.
What if any brokerages won't hire me after getting the license? So all of the industries we regulate are kind of self-regulated industries. So, there is a bit of that. You're going through the education and getting ready for licensing on spec. You certainly could contact brokerages in advance and find out if they'd be prepared to hire you once you complete the education. Perhaps they do that. I don't really know. We don't really get involved in the employment piece of it. RECA is the regulator. So we ensure that licensees follow the legislation and meet all of the requirements of their licensing, but we don't really get involved in helping people gain employment. That's sort of left up to you as an independent contractor type situation. Oh, there's your answer, Christina, what a cram school is. Cram school is a thing in Asia where an institution gathers students and teaches them how to pass the test. Okay. So I would say, no, that's not what it is. They prepared course materials. So we're the licensing regulator, and we publish a list of competencies that you have to be able to demonstrate to pass the exam. And the course providers have developed course materials that address all of the competencies that we're going to test people on. So you go there, you learn the information, and then you come and write the pre-licensing test. So it's a exam prep course, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I'm a broker, that would allow me to bring on staff to work in my property management business, or have the people create their own property management under my umbrella. I think this would be more of a question a little bit for information services, but as a license or as the broker, you would be bringing on individuals to work underneath you and to be licensed with your property or with your brokerage. You're not hiring the corporation. That makes sense. But that, like I said, that might be a little bit more of a question for information services.
Next question, without 2 years of experience, we can't work as independently. That is correct. So in order to, the legislation in Alberta requires anybody who wants to practice in a licensed industry to be registered with an Alberta brokerage. And you cannot open your own brokerage or oversee a brokerage until you have the required education and a minimum of 2 years of licensed experience. Just waiting to see if any more questions roll in. It's slowing down, so we might be done early today. I'm just looking through the chat questions. I don't really see anything else we didn't cover that's not related to somebody's personal situation. So I think it looks like that's it. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for attending, and thanks for your questions. There were some really good questions, kind of challenged us a bit, so that was nice. Again, you're going to get an email with a link to the webinar, and it'll also be posted on our website if you want to take another look at it. And we'll also email you a copy of the presentation that we went through at the beginning, because those links that showed on the screen are actually live links. So you'll be able to sort of go through the presentation at your own pace and check out the links as you go along. If you think of other questions after we're done here, you can always give us a call or just email us at registration@reca.ca. And best of luck to all of you.
Bye.
Bye.